We're waking up today. You're getting a lot of angry tweets. Tell me why.
Well, this actually took place yesterday. You saw a lot of gas stations moving up. Some, of course, it was a holiday, so they didn't raise the prices as quickly. But today we're waking to an increase of between 4 and 5 cents a liter. If some retail gas stations were discounting their gas, in some instances I've seen 8 cents going from $1.08.9 to $1.16.9, places like Brampton and perhaps even some places here in downtown Toronto. Has everything to do with the Ontario government's fight on climate change. They're using a model called the cap and trade market, and that means a 4.4 cent net increase which gas stations have to pay and which they're passing on to consumers, and 6.1 cents a liter for diesel.
So how did they come up with the 4.1? How did they reach that number?
Yeah, the formula is based on how much emissions of CO2 a given refinery will have to produce 1 liter of gasoline. There are various models, the market changes, but it's pre-tax between 3.6 and 3.9 cents a liter. SO is 3.9, 3.894 to be exact, whereas Valero, which is Ultramar, would be closer to 3.6. But then you have to multiply that by another tax, which is the HST. That's why you have the 4.4 cent a liter increase. SO being the largest distributor of gasoline in Ontario tends to be the leader on the street. So it's 4.4 cents a liter for gasoline, 6.1 for diesel with HST.
And so, talk about the confusion. We see confusion from the part of store owners. Why is that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of store owners didn't know that they knew the increase was to take place, but they were given no direction. So you saw the sort of, some dropped to $111.9 from $12.9 on Saturday. Some went to 115.9, while others actually got the right numbers and went to 116.9. Headquarters wasn't around yesterday, so a lot of these stations, which are company owned, they're really franchises, didn't get the call until this morning, at which point there was some very early calls made, 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, some very late last evening, because if you consider it, it's not something that you can choose to be cute with. That 4.4 cents a liter, if you came here yesterday and it was $1.11 or $1.12, it's the gas station owner that had to really eat that 4 cents. And when they're pumping 20 to 30,000 liters of gasoline, that's $1,000 loss to the retailer on their bottom line. So it was really important that they get that tax passed on quickly. It took effect the stroke of midnight, December 31st. A lot of them didn't get the message. Now that headquarters are back to work, it looks like the price has gone up and consumers are paying for it.
Wow. And so, can you compare gas prices in 2016 to 2017? Do we see a trend building?
Yeah, I mean, gas prices right now, if you consider the increase caused by the cap and trade, is about 15 cents a liter more than you were paying this time last year, 16 cents more than the year before here in the GTA and for Toronto. So the numbers are dramatically higher, and they are likely to stay higher. Not just because of the cap and trade tax that the Ontario government, supported by all parties in the legislature, have put forward, but also because we're looking at OPEC seemingly getting its act together as of yesterday. Bad timing, I suppose, but the likelihood is that we could see prices for oil rise from the low 50s, mid 50s up to the low 60s. That not only means more and likely higher cost for gasoline, it also puts some pressure on the Canadian dollar. Now, we've seen the Canadian dollar has lost a lot of value of late. It's likely to lose more for a whole variety of reasons. That really means problems for consumers because we price all of our gasoline, all of our diesel in US dollars. So a weak Canadian dollar, some may cheer it, great for manufacturing exports, not so great if you're a consumer, could add another 3 cents a liter. This is going to be the new normal, between $1.10 and $1.25 for 2017. All in all, a much more expensive year than we've seen, certainly going back 3 years.
Wow, gone are the days where it's under the dollar.
There will be very few exceptions unless there's a gas war where you're going to see gas as a price as an average here in Toronto below $1 a liter. This is really the new normal. I would say $1.10 if we're lucky. But as we get closer to summer, there's always a 3 cent a liter increase that is put on because they convert from winter cheaper to make gasoline to summer spec gasoline. So add another 3 cents a liter. I just don't see how, under the current circumstances, prices are going to collapse. Governments are propping them up, obviously, with taxes, but more importantly, the fundamentals are now starting to indicate that prices for gasoline, for all fuels, all energy, colder winter, etc., are likely to lead to much higher prices, as I believe it'll be probably the most expensive we've seen since 2014.